Well, hello and welcome to part 3 of our MLO creation. What we're gonna do today is we are going to clean out world collision and apply our location and rotation to our interior shell to place it within CodeWalker, and then we're gonna test it in game. So first things first, we need to again go in here and select our building, detail, building, grab this YMAP, let's grab this one, the second one, export as XML, go into your project folder and CodeWalker export, save it right there. Now let's change it to collision. Now it's VB30. Okay, export these two. The MA collision is just for grass, so you can ignore that one. Export collision into CodeWalker export. Now, if you're gonna be building in some other places, you're gonna need to pay attention to the collision name. If it has a DLC name, like this is VB, that's just Vespucci Beach. But let's say here in this area, if I select this box, you see it's LR, which means lowrider. So it has two collisions overlaying each other. If you don't have your DLCs enabled, you're gonna see only SC1020YBN. But if you do have them enabled and you're on the latest patch, you're gonna see the LR, which is from lowrider update. So if you are making an MLO, you need to pay attention to the collision names as well. Sometimes you clear out a collision, you load it in game, and there is still a collision. And now, why? I did everything correctly. Well, hop back into CodeWalker and try to check without DLCs and with DLCs enabled. Export all collisions from there. You're gonna have multiple collision files, edit all of them, and then load all of them into your stream folder and check in game again, and it should work. So this way we have our collision. So here, new collection, name it collision, go into your CodeWalker export, this YBN, this YBN. I'm gonna hide those. Okay, so now we have our placement right here, and we want to get these values onto this one so it's properly rotated. So I'm going to put the rotation, the placement onto the rotation, and also move it into our base collection, just so it's all in one place. Now here you want to zero the rotation. Now for the placement you want to right click and clear parent and keep transformation, and you see it now has this rotation. So you grab the placement, put it, you hold shift like I do here, and you put it onto the VB30 BLD1. Now you click import CodeWalker again, while you have your base collection selected and you import your YMAP. Now you see this thing is still here, but it's okay. You open the YMAP, entities, the VB30BLD1, placement, and you can just teleport to it. Now here, unhide all your collisions just so you can see it is actually lining up, and in our case it is lining up. So I'm going to hide the collisions. Now for the placement, I want to right click, parent, clear and keep transformation. And now you see we have location and rotation. Now that's what we need when we're going to be placing it in CodeWalker. This way it's going to line up one-to-one exactly where it's supposed to be. I saw people importing a YMAP and building their MLO right here, or moving a duplicate of the MLO right here and trying to rotate it and realign it. I mean, it is doable, but this is much easier. You just copy the rotations and whatever. What you shouldn't do is go in here and Control C and then Control V, because as you can see, it's 35.0125D. And then you also see the radians. That's why you want to put it on your rotation empty, 0, clear parent, then you receive the actual rotation, then you parent it onto your VB30BLD1, import the YMAP, and then you clear parent and keep transformation again, and you have your placement right here. Okay, so with that covered, we want to dive onto the collision. Let's edit first the VB30 0. Now you see the lines, they are kind of distracting, so you can disable relationship lines just so I don't see it. And this, let me disable sniping tool. This is a poly box. You cannot cut holes into poly boxes. There's just no can do, and you cannot cut holes into these boxes. So what you want to do is hop in here, switch your transforms orientation to normal, and now in object mode you want to scale it, so you press S and then we scale this one over Y-axis and then G over Y. We just want to move it just enough so it's clearing out space for our doors. Okay. Okay, looks good enough. And no gaps right here. That's great. Now here we have a box that's actually the size of the doorway, so that one we can delete. And now you see we created kinda a hole or space that we need to fill out. I apologize. So you want to select this one again, Shift D to duplicate. You don't need to be creating more, just Shift D to duplicate, scale it over Y to make it a bit smaller, then move it over Y, then scale it a little bit more, it a bit more. Okay. It is creating an odd thing right here. So I'm gonna scale it and move it a little bit more to the left. Yes, that looks much better. And now this top portion, duplicate again, move over here, scale over Z, move over Z, now scale it a little bit more. Okay, now this is covered. Now the back. So same story, scale, move, dun, 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 dun. Okay, like this. Yep, it's lining up with the corner. And again, Shift D, move it, scale, scale, move. Okay, looks perfect. Now here again, Shift D, move, scale over X. Now move over X, scale a little bit more. A little bit more. Okay. Now here is additional collision, so I want to just extend it a little bit and then scale over Y to make it bigger and move it a little bit up. Actually, scale over X, move it a little bit inside as well. Okay, looks good enough. Okay, so that's the default of VB30. Now high VB30, that's much more simpler. You select this polybox right here, delete. This one is not here, this one, delete, and done. So collisions are ready. So I'm going to select them, export CodeWalker, Blender export. I'm going to export it right here. Okay, it took almost 7 seconds. Now back in here. Now from this one I can delete the placement because we have the actual placement right here. And in here just 0 your rotation. Not apply, but 0. You actually want to put the number 0 right here. Okay, everything is 0. So now here, export. Now with this one, export. Now the shell, collision, shell, export. Okay, and now we move onto our into our shell collision and we create our Y type. So I just want to copy this one, paste it right here, select my collision, change this to MLO, auto create, click on my shell, change this to base, auto create. Now I want to select my collision, create two rooms, two limbo rooms, running the second one to main. Now for limbo, bounds max, I want to tick once on bounds max to the right. Now we go into entities, select our shell again, add object as entity. Now here, room, set to limbo. This means when we spawn a collision, the shell is gonna spawn with it. And now we can go and do portals. So I'm going to select the collision model, tab into edit mode, and in here portals, change it from main to limbo, and I want to start with the front door first and then the back doors. So we do these doors first. I'm always doing doors first because then I know portal 1, 2 and 3 are for doors and the rest is whatever windows, so I don't need to care about those. I care only about those first 3. It doesn't matter if it goes from different rooms, for me at least. I just know that I set the portals this way and then I don't need to look for them and look through stuff to find out where I made a mistake, which doors were put into incorrect portal, and so on and so forth. So these doors are my first door, so from main to limbo, auto create from selected, and always be selecting the vertices on the inside, not on the outside. That way you know it's fully flat with the wall and your camera cannot clip anywhere through the portal. Now I'm gonna select this door, auto create. Also, when you're creating, you don't want your camera to be here, but here, because this portal goes from main room, which is the room inside, into limbo, which is outside, and the arrow needs to be pointing that way as well. If you make a mistake and the arrow is pointing inside, you can here click on flip orientation. Okay, now this last door, create from selected. Now let's do windows. These two will be 2 portals. I could make it 1, but I don't want to. I just don't know how it's gonna look. We may adjust that later. But these bigger windows, they can be a single portal, just like this. 4 corners on the inside. This one too. Now these 2. And this one also 1 big portal. Okay, so now that's our portals. Now when we were adding our collisions, we can look into our rooms, and limbo is room 0, main is room 1. So room ID should be assigned to the room that goes after limbo, which is main, that's 1, room ID 1. If you have multiple rooms, like a third room, that would be, let's say, garage, that would be room ID 2, and it needs its own separately assigned collision to the faces on the garage collision. But this part we're gonna cover later because it's a little bit more advanced. We're just making as simpler MLO as possible. So since we're now in edit mode for our collision, you want to press A, right click, and triangulate faces. Make sure you're in face selection, and you want to triangulate just so you can see how it looks. And yes, it is going to triangulate automatically on export, but on export you have no control over it and over how it's gonna look. For collisions, it is not that important. It is more important to do it on your actual shell, because sometimes you can encounter some issues. So let's say I'm going to move this vertex C a little bit offset. But let me change it back to global. It's actually not that apparent, but you can see here, like in this V, you can see there is a different kind of like shadow. Here you can see it better. And that's how it would be looking in game when I had some vertices misaligned. It's not apparent unless you triangulate it. But here you can see it's not here anymore. And you do want to do that just to be 100% sure that everything is correct. Now, before we export our shell, hop into face orientation, and you see whatever is red should be on the outside, and whatever is colored should be on the inside. Because the color is what you can see, the red is what you cannot see. So again, press A, Alt N, flip. Same for the collision, A, Alt N, flip. And now we are ready. So I'm going to disable face orientation, select both your shell and collision, export into my Blender export, export Y type into my Blender export. And now we want to go here. I'm going to close this one. We want to go to here into RPF Explorer, open folder. Now navigate into your project folder, and here create a new folder and call it stream. Okay, your stream folder. You open this one, that's your stream folder. You go into Blender export. You grab all of these that we exported. So our emissive one for the night model, building, collisions, and our shell. With the Y type, of course. And you want to shove it all in the stream folder. You don't want to be creating mods folder in base GTA 5 directory. It is not needed. You can always open folders and do it via open folder. It's much easier, much cleaner, and you are not at risk of being banned by anti-cheat. Click on this Dropbox menu and open folder, and open your stream folder. and it loads all the things that we did. Now, if you don't zero your transforms for the building, there is gonna be an issue where the building is gonna spawn rotated naturally. You want to avoid that, so that's why before we export it, we zeroed the transformation for our rotation when we were lining it up with the grid. So here we want to create a new YMAP file. We want to name it like our project. Again, same thing applies as everywhere else. No uppercase letters, no dots, no special symbols, only lowercase, numbers and underscores. Nothing else should be there. So now when I created the YMAP, I want to close the project window, and then it will ask you if you want to save the YMAP. So we say yes and save it into the stream folder, and this no. Now if you reload the project from the stream folder, you see the YMAP gets refreshed with the correct name and with the correct flags, which is no flags because it has no data in there. Now we go back to Blender, copy our collision name. Now under YMAP, we want to add new entity, paste, and you see it already spawned. And now for our placement, so I want to select the placement here, in general, object location and rotation tools. The first one is location of an object, so I copy that, paste it here. Now the second one is rotation, paste it here, and done. Now I need to reload the YMAP again, so I'm gonna close the project window, save the YMAP. I don't want to save the project, and reload. Okay, now we have our interior. It's all nice and lined up. Okay, now the next step, I'm going to reopen the stream folder, change our selection from entity to occlusion, and you have these blue boxes right here. So I want to enable the cursor and move tool, select this occluder box, just move it under the ground, select, just move it under the ground. That's all we need to do in this instance. We want to have the project loaded and then start moving it, just so it loads into our CodeWalker project. Now, if we close the project window, it asks if you want to save the occlusion YMAP. Yes, we want to, and we save it into our stream folder. Whoops, I didn't want to click yes on that one, but whatever. Now I switch back to entity, reopen the stream folder, and now you see we have both YMAPs right here. Now just to be 100% sure nothing changed, regenerate manifest. Any change you do, movement, placement, whatever, just regenerate the manifest because it has the bounds and everything. So it's just to be 100% sure. Now here you can see it also needed the occlusion. So if we did not regenerate it, it would not have this portion, and then we would have a problem. Okay, so I'm going to save it one more time. Now I can close the project. And now you want to hop into your server resources. I'm gonna be putting it into my default maps. I named it BP86YTB. Create a stream folder. Now everything that you have in your project folder under stream, you want to copy, paste right here. Now the FX manifest, it should look something like this, very basic. FX version, game, this is a map. You don't need anything else. It's really not needed, but it does have to be FX manifest. And the FX version should be Cerulean, not Adamant, not anything else, but Cerulean. Okay, so now we are prepared to test it on the server. Okay, so now we have our server loaded, and I want to spawn in. Last location. Okay, and here is our interior. As you can see, it's all here. It all has collisions. This is wood. This is plaster. And it all works. So that will be everything for this part. In the next part, we're gonna start doing all the minor details, such as better door frame, doors, windows. Here you still do have the window collision, the original one, so we don't need to worry about that. And hold on. Yep, the night model is not here, but it is still here. And there too. And yes, I know the inside is glowing at night. That we're gonna fix somewhere in the process of the other details that we're gonna cover. But for now, this is sufficient enough. We got our MLO outside, we tested it, it does work. And yeah, see ya in the next part.